While it was an anxious wait for the countrymen before Indian Air Force Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman returned to India through the Atari-Wagah border, his survival behind the enemy lines was nothing short of a spine-chilling ordeal, which he managed with a composure that stands to be unmatched and can only be held by a true defense official. Ever since Wing Commander Abhinandan Varthaman, an Indian fighter pilot, crashed in on the Pakistani soil on Wednesday, the story of his survival has got India transfixed. Varthaman's plane was hit on Wednesday morning in the first aerial dogfight between India and Pakistan in nearly 50 years. He was later captured by the Pakistani military, a particularly histrionic development in an already volatile conflict between the two nations. A scene that seems right out of a flick. Varthaman parachuted out of his flaming plane as per a number of media reports. Turns out that at around 8:45 a.m. on Wednesday morning, Indian and Pakistani fighter jets were reportedly engaged in a dogfight in the skies above Horan village, located at around 7 kilometers from the line of control in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir's Bhimber district. Both Indian planes then reportedly caught fire, but while one sped back into Indian territory, the other burst into flames and plummeted to the ground. Local resident Mohammad Razak told a media that he then saw a pilot emerge safe and sound from his parachute. Razak then reportedly told the village's children to stay away from the plane's debris until military personnel arrived on the scene. Now, after landing safely on the ground, the pilot asked the youths whether he was in India or Pakistan, to which one of them responded, India. Showing their quick presence of mind so as to trick the Indian pilot into believing he was home, Abhinandan got a little doubtful. A news media reports that the pilot shouted slogans Hindustan Zindabad and told the youths that his back was broken and that he needed water. Evidently provoked by his slogan, a local from the group shouted Pakistan Zindabad, instantaneously alerting Abhinandan to the fact that he was on the wrong side of the border. As he sought to get away from the group which had surrounded him, some of them picked up stones and began running violently towards him. Abhinandan took out his service revolver to fire a warning shot in the air. He ran backwards for nearly half a kilometer, firing more shots in the air while the group of locals kept chasing him. Backed into a corner, the wing commander hopped into a small pond and quickly tried to destroy some documents and maps that he was carrying by soaking them in water and trying to swallow them. Now, as a group caught up with the pilot and told him to drop his weapon, one of the boys shot at his leg as he stood in the pond. Finally, Abhinandan came out of the pond and told them not to kill him. A situation that was dangerous on so many levels for the pilot, and firing his gun in the air, given the circumstances, was a classic act of self-defense, a reflex. His later demeanor, he thanked Pakistani military personnel for rescuing him from the mob, backs the idea that he was trying to save himself in as calculated a manner as possible. Commenting on the group that found the pilot, eyewitness Razak even thanked God that none of the boys shot him dead, a media journal reports. The pilot's decision to destroy sensitive documents was also standard protocol to prevent strategic information from falling into the adversary's hands. Now, as per the Additional Protocol 1, 1977 of the Geneva Conventions, attacking a parachutist from a distressed aircraft constitutes a war crime. Article 42 of Protocol 1 expressly deals with this specific situation, noting 1. That no person parachuting from a distressed aircraft shall be made the object of attacking during his descent. Point number 2. that upon reaching the ground in territory controlled by an adverse party, a person who has parachuted from an aircraft in distress shall be given an opportunity to surrender before being made the object of attack, unless it is apparent that he is engaging in a hostile act. Now, according to Geneva Convention 3, 1949, all effects and articles of personal use except arms, horses, military equipment and military documents shall remain in the possession of prisoners of war. Well, Article 42 does not explicitly mention non-combatants. The basic rules of the Geneva Conventions and their additional protocols in the role of civilian and neutral parties provides that the civilian population must respect the wounded even if they belong to the adverse party and shall not commit any act of violence against them. Moreover, in cases not covered by the conventions or additional protocols, civilians and combatants remain under the protection and authority of the principles of international law derived from established custom and from the principles of humanity. The group of boys stopped thrashing the pilot only when Pakistani personnel came and took him into custody. A video of that scene, probably shot by locals, then surfaced on the social media. Now, after being captured, the Pakistani government's media wing released a video of Wing Commander Abhinandan stating on record that even if he goes back to India, that the officers of the Pakistani army took care of him very well. He also expressed his gratitude to the captain who rescued him and stated that he was very impressed with the Pakistani army. Addressing the interviewer as Major, who was off camera, of course, Abhinandan answered a question about where is he from with a polite, "Sorry, I'm not supposed to tell you this, Major." The Major continued asking what aircraft was he flying and what was his mission, to which Abhinandan responded, "Sorry, Major, I'm not supposed to tell you this, but I'm sure you found the wreckage." Under Article 17 of the Geneva Convention III, every prisoner of war, when questioned on the subject, is bound to give only his surname, first names and rank, date of birth, and army, regimental, personal or serial number, or failing this, equivalent information. Pakistan's custody of Vardhaman is governed by the Geneva Conventions of 1949, which lay out rules for how to treat prisoners of war. Prisoners of war are protected from prosecution for directly taking part in hostilities. The detention does not amount to a form of punishment, but strictly aims to prevent further participation in hostilities. It was presumably in accordance with these provisions that Pakistan announced its decision to release the Indian pilot. For more news updates, log on to www.swnews.in.
If you like this video, please share it, and we would love to hear your comments in the comments section down here. Also, please do like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter to get minute-to-minute news updates. For more such shows and videos, well, subscribe to our YouTube channel.